Horse Films.
And I'm Doug218. How's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Look!
He's out of the cast and the splint.
Woohoo! The journey's almost done.
Getting there anyway. Welcome out, guys. Happy Sunday. We are recapping Masterchef Back to Win, episode number 6.
And
Masterchef Canada, by the way. But you knew that already.
But that's what the bubble says down on the screen.
It does. But hey, well, Masterchef.
Exactly. And this one was different. Masterchef Canada doesn't do a lot of, like, game show-esque kind of things.
I don't think they do really game show-esque at all.
At all.
But they did today.
And we got introduced to a Masterchef first Kitchenary. And basically it was a culinary knowledge test.
Right.
And
basically they were asked
a definition.
In rounds. It's like rounds of 4. And they were asked questions. So they were given definition, almost like a Jeopardy kind of thing. And they were asked, and they were given definitions, culinary definitions. It could be a technique, or it could be an ingredient. Mm-hmm. And the first one who buzzed in
got points.
with the right answer, they got 10 points.
And if you answered incorrectly, you
lost 5 points.
You lost 5 points. So if this is your first question and you answered incorrectly, you're already in the hole, -5.
Right. And it's funny because for a while, Andy was like at -15 or 20 at first because everything he answered he was getting wrong.
Incorrect.
At first, but he actually dug himself out of the hole. The only one actually left in the hole by the end was Thea, but...
Well, because Andrew won the previous challenge last week, they told him he would have an advantage.
Right.
He had a 20-point advantage going in.
Right. Which definitely gonna help.
For sure. And these rounds went pretty fast and furious. Mm-hmm. You know.
Well, it's funny because at one point Thea couldn't even get anything answered. She goes, it was just so frustrating because she'd be clicking her button
and nothing,
and somebody else would beat her. So it's funny. At one point, Michael said, "Thea, can you press your buttons?" She did. And it's working.
So
just
sorry,
not fast enough.
So it's...
And actually, it's funny, the only question she actually answered, nobody else even tried for, and she still got it wrong.
So, if you won, you didn't have to face...
Won the whole game.
If you won the whole game, immediately you're up on the balcony.
Yeah.
Don't have to do the next...
the challenge. Which is an elimination challenge. So in the end, actually, Andrew won it.
With 65.
65, yeah.
A score of 65.
And that actually, first 20 really helped him.
Yeah.
Because some of the other ones were actually pretty close on his tail. Like, consider Andy did dig himself out of that hole and pretty much came really close to him. And May was right on his tail, and Christopher was too. So,
of course. So
he got to go up to the gallery.
Everyone else had to take... So they said, okay, here's the next part of the challenge.
Right.
Please look at the screen again, because they had a big screen with the definition or what this would be used in kind of thing. And they said, okay, what the answers were from the game, now you have to choose 2.
Right. So you had to choose an ingredient and a technique.
And
the ones who won, which was... Andrew was out, so the next one in line was Christopher. So it actually went in descending order. So Christopher was the first to choose. So he had the whole board he could choose from.
Well,
all the way down to Thea.
Christopher and May were tied for second place.
Oh yeah.
And
Andrew chose Christopher.
And just to more or less, like he said, May's the one I want to kind of knock off.
Right, because he figures she's kind of one of his biggest competition in the game. So he chose Christopher. Although I wouldn't actually count Christopher out either.
Exactly.
I mean, yes, he might be a pastry chef, but he's a very good savory cook too. So
he showed his his moxie with that.
And has more than one. So, but he picked Christopher because he wanted to kind of hamper May a little bit.
Yeah.
So they basically, in descending order all the way down to Thea, they got to pick the two ingredient, like the one ingredient and the technique
method,
that they wanted to cook with.
So it was an hour challenge, and like they said, like Four Towers said, the loser gone home.
It's an elimination challenge.
So two of them that were really kind of struggling. Jeremy kind of struggled a little bit because he was doing a Filipino dish. Excuse me, guys. I had to write down some notes here, and let me see if I can.
Well, he
did a pan-seared cod.
Well, see, the techniques. There was the two techniques. He had the two words that he chose. One was emulsify, and the other was spiral, I think.
Yeah.
And so basically what he was trying to do is he took potatoes and he was trying to spiral them, and he was taking too much time with that. And they even, Alvin actually came over and said to him, he's wasting too much time with that, and because his emulsification sauce could break.
Yeah, and it did.
And so you have to concentrate more on that kind of thing. So he was having trouble with that, and it actually did break. And he had to do it again with a little over a minute to spare at the end. And so he didn't actually end up with a lot of sauce on his plate in the end. And then Marissa, not that she really struggled, but I think she did the technique right, except it was in a pouch, which is actually, you cook it in a pouch, but you're supposed to actually serve it in a pouch too. And she didn't do that. She was saying she cut it open ahead of time, basically.
Yeah.
And they were basically saying that even before they talked to her, before the judging, that you're supposed to actually bring it to them and cut it open at the table. And she didn't do that. So that was something that she kind of did wrong. Who else was struggling a little bit?
Okay. Let me find my note again. Andre was struggling because he did his take on a baked Alaska.
Right.
But the ganache that he used for the baked Alaska hadn't set up enough. It was too soft. So,
it was like a meringue, meringue type thing he was trying to do.
Because it didn't. He wanted it to come out clean, and he had it in a silicone mold, and he was hoping that it would pop. He could pop it cleanly out, but it was too soft.
Didn't work that way.
So he's trying. He did it with a spoon, and then he's like, "I've got to make sure it's clean." And you could see he was really kind of concerned with it. But when I've got notes scribbled all over my notebook, guys, bear with me here. When he did get it tasted, which was done by Michael said he said it was great. The fruit was fantastic.
Was he one of the first ones to bring up his food?
No, actually, the first one was Andy with his he called it the pomelo pop.
Right.
And it was a beautiful dish. The colors it was well plated.
Yeah, it looked like a wreath.
Exactly.
It was pretty how he did it.
And Michael kind of
with the custard in the middle.
Michael kind of looked at him and said, it's a tough thing to try and accomplish, and let's taste it. And Michael had nothing but glowing comments. He said it was really tasty. So for Andy to take the risk and try it this way, it really paid off for him. And that's what a lot of them are having to do, is really take risks and go outside that zone. So after Andy, it was Jeremy, who as you had just mentioned. Yeah. And then it was Andre.
Well, with Jeremy, they said, that the flavor was there. Even with his sauce, the emulsification, it tasted well, because he did get it to the point where it didn't split, but there wasn't enough of it. And so Alvin was saying he wanted more of that. And like you said, the spiral was there,
Mm-hmm.
but he goes, it didn't really blow him away.
And he looked at him and he goes, I'm hard on you because I know how good you are. You need to expect more from yourself.
Yeah.
And you could kind of see that kind of bothered Jeremy a little bit, you know?
Well, I think because he himself said he wasn't that happy with how it turned out, with the plating and everything. He's a bit of a perfectionist, and he wasn't really that happy with the plating of it.
And so the other individual we talked about, Andre, who was kind of having problems as well, he did the cassava Alaska. Michael had great comments about
Well, what was cool is, like with the bacon Alaska and how it's flambé, and that's one of the words that the technique that he picked was flambé, and the other was cassava. And what was cool is it was a little different than how you would normally do a baked Alaska. He lit the sauce or the alcohol before he poured it, and then as it cascaded down, it just kind of lit the whole Alaska up, and it looked really cool. And even Michael commented that it was very beautiful how he did it.
But the one negative he said was he wished there was more fruit.
Right.
He said every component was great, but just a little more fruit would have really kind of set the whole thing right to the next level.
And plus he liked, because remember, Andre wasn't sure of the meringue area of it,
yeah,
because it hadn't set. And Michael didn't seem to have a comment about that. He liked the flavor, and he thought it was very fluffy, and it held together. So,
well, and that's
good job.
Exactly. Christopher, now his plate was beautiful.
What was it that he did?
He called it Into the Ravine.
Oh, right. And he called it that because it was based on memories of when he was a child.
Because there was like a creek and
or
like
a
ravine
near where he lived.
And so he used to go back and explore the woods. So he played this whole scene of like Into the Ravine.
Yeah, it looked like kind of a ravine too. Really, he had mushrooms that looked like trees. And
he had like sand, bark, the whole deal.
Yeah, it was really well done.
And a first happened on this show.
And they liked it.
Alvin was pretty much rendered speechless. He loved it. He had nothing bad to say. He goes, and that's unusual for the demon chef to be rendered speechless, because I absolutely loved it. You've blown me away. Mm-hmm. And Christopher's smile like creeped from ear to ear, like he's on his game.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Thea, she did what was called a toma tostada inversion. Well, as she was cooking, she talked about how her family ate a lot of Latin American cuisine, so it's something she's very comfortable with. And Claudio said, everything was great. The flavors, the cook was good. One thing he said, though. One negative. You know what it was?
Not enough of it.
That's right. He said, I wish there was more. I wish there was more. And that was said to a few of them in this conversation.
Yeah, quite a few, yeah.
It was good, but maybe
just a little bit more.
So,
yeah.
Then we came to Marissa. She did it's tuna and papillote, or tuna in a paper sack. Mm-hmm. And like you had said, it's usually cut open at table side.
She actually took it out of the paper and plated it.
Yeah.
Because she was saying why she did that was because she's gotten a few comments about her plating.
Yeah. And
she didn't want to hear that again.
She didn't want no shenanigans, no trickery. She wanted the food to speak for itself.
But like Alvin said, well, part of a papillote, it is the show.
Yeah.
It is the process of cutting it open. You can have the aroma and the smell and all that rather than just the taste. And he actually said that's part of the flavor too of a papillote is cutting it open and the flavor right at that point. Mm-hmm. So
because that's even what he commented from the when they were on the podium. It's like look at all that aroma, all that
Yes.
You know,
It's
escaping.
escaping. Yeah.
Um,
And as you know, aroma has a great deal to do with how things taste.
exactly. And
So-
like Alvin says, taste is king.
Right.
You know, taste is king.
Like he said, it tasted good, but was it enough?
Yeah. Like he said, the sauce was good,
Yeah.
but she had a piece of tuna that was like really thick.
It was. Yeah.
It
It
was
was
a
pretty thick.
Hearty piece of tuna, and he said it was good, but the sauce wasn't enough for the size of
The tuna.
The tuna.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, because it looked like it was pretty much just a tuna.
yeah, you
With
really
very little sauce. So again, not enough.
Okay. So we got to May, and May did. It's called a seafood banbeo.
Right.
What?
Which is part of her culture, which I believe is Filipino.
I think so.
I think she's Filipino. I think so.
Well, she's part of our Asian community.
Yeah.
So she got judged by two of them. She got judged by Michael.
That we saw. Yeah.
That we saw. But what made it to air was Michael and Claudio both tasted her food. Michael said the seafood, she knows how to cook seafood.
Oh yeah.
He's like,
and he said she did her culture proud.
yeah. And Claudio gave her another glowing compliment. It's like the sauce, the seafood, everything was fantastic.
Yeah.
Good job.
Mhm.
So the judges pull back to the podium, and they get to discussing, and they call him up to the...
They called Christopher and May up, right? It was Christopher and May up.
They did.
To the front. Which was a little different than how they normally did this. Because they normally all come up to the front.
And the reason they called Christopher and May up to the front was?
They won. It was a tie.
First
it was first ever tie. And and because they were saying they both, not one edged the other.
Other out.
And I mean, that makes sense. I mean, let's face it, both Christopher and May are both excellent chefs. They're both very good cooks. So.
And, so then Alvin says, okay. No, sorry, not Alvin. Claudio says, okay, Marissa.
Well, they get to go up to the gallery.
Yeah, so they go up.
So then they called Marissa up.
And Claudia said to her, like you said to us, you want to know shenanigans, no trickery. Right. We at least owe you that.
Same kind of respect.
Same kind of respect.
To call you up by herself kind of thing. So, and then she's the one who ended up with the losing dish. And it was basically because like we said, that she did the cutting too early, because that was part of the whole experience. Mm-hmm. There wasn't enough sauce, and it just wasn't a strong enough dish as some of the others were. So,
and so just before Marissa goes, Alvin says to her, "Who do you think is going to win?" And she's the second one.
Second or third one.
Second or third one to say Andrew is the one to win.
I don't know. I guess so. I mean, Andrew's a pretty strong chef, but I would not count out May or Christopher either.
And see,
so I don't know. I think the three of them, to me, from what we've seen, I think it
could be anyone's game.
Any one
really.
of those three of them, actually.
And
so
it's also the tests, the challenges are more difficult this season.
Well, it makes sense because, like we've said previously, it's an all-star season. Yeah. So these are returning cooks, and a lot of them are not home chefs; they're actual professional cooks now. So of course, it is going to be more difficult than let's see, a standard season, I guess.
So she felt that she represent, as she said, queer, black, female,
all her communities,
and I love that. Yeah. You know how she.
I think she did. I think she did a very good job.
She represented every community that she was a part of.
And see, the thing is, it's everyone who's going home. It's not because they've done something egregious.
No.
Like they're not doing like really bad dishes.
No.
It's like very nitpicky things.
Oh,
like
for
not
sure.
enough sauce for the amount of fish. I mean,
yeah.
as opposed to what the other ones are doing. It's not that our flavors weren't there, because they were. It's just that say there wasn't enough sauce and that she cut it open instead of there. I mean, it's very nitpicky. So I mean,
yeah, it's the finite stuff.
She should be very proud of how she
for sure.
did, because it's a tough competition,
Ooh,
you know. And
dude,
I'm glad she is proud of what she did.
And she should be. And before the show closed, we saw next week.
It's Mystery Box again.
Number 2. And it looks like they're going to throw them another curve, because you saw a little video clip of Christopher going, I don't even know what this is.
Well, we can't really tell. Obviously, they're not going to show you in the clip, but it looked like some of them had their whole tables full of stuff, so it looks like they're going to be pretty intricate dinners or dishes.
So it should be interesting to see.
We'll see what happens next week. But again, it was interesting to see the game show aspect to it, because they don't. It's so new. It's something that they haven't done before, so that was pretty cool.
And I must say, Michael did have a good game show host voice.
Yes, he did. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I like his speaking voice.
Yeah.
He has a really nice speaking voice.
Of course. Of course. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, no, he could narrate books. I wonder if he has. Think about that, Michael. Should narrate books or something. Do voiceovers.
If this restaurateur thing doesn't work out for you, there you go, pal.
Nice speaking voice.
Nice speaking voice.
So does his son. So.
Yes.
Anyway, that is it for MasterChef Canada Back to Win, episode number 6. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when we or this way
when we're back on.
When we're back on the air. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And thank you guys for joining us, and hope to see you next week. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.